busy, but in a city like London, we're all rushing. And we need to be able to get out to the right stop, take the right connection, and not lose time. Johnston is the typeface used by the Transport of London for communication in their signage system, in their wayfinding. It's like you have someone with you and holding your hand along the way, because that typeface and that design language sets itself apart from everything else, all the chaos around it, and only Johnston and the red and the blue is calling to you. It really is the voice of London.
Well, we like to see our branding and our signage almost as an invisible member of staff. We know it works because we get very few complaints about our signage, and that's driven by the size of the font, the use of the font, the use of the colours. It just works very naturally. 2016 is a very important year for us. It's 100 years since the Johnston font was introduced. So we felt we'd take that opportunity to ensure that the font was fit for purpose and that it worked on all devices and all applications. The original brief to Monotype was to go back to the original principles of Johnston, to reflect on the way the font is now, and to see what we might have lost in its 100-year journey.
There was a specific request regarding certain characters like the G or the hashtag. Johnston100 years ago did not have that. But there was something that was very important, that was more holistic. TfL had felt that over time, part of the original soul had somehow slipped through all these decades, and they wanted to bring it back.
The first step in the project was to study the historical sources that we had. We started by comparing proportions, all sorts of typographical details.
If we look at the design of Johnston, it was a work of art when it came out, very, very new in a sense of, and very innovative in its time. By now, we take it for granted, we understand that this is a great typeface, but it was even a greater typeface when it was first designed, because nobody had done this kind of design before. But at the same time, it was very well used by TfL. And if you look at the various ways they have used it over the years, whether it is in the posters, in the signage, in the communication, there has always been that focus on good typography. There are very few typefaces that exist that have that kind of stature. It's a classic.
What was interesting also was to see some of the posters from Johnston's time, because you can see how the typeface was used, and you can see also the environment and feel of the time.
There was a flavor in the design that was very different. The posters would talk about how it can connect you to this festival or to this event, and today is not the case. That joy of taking the tube seems to have disappeared. We wanted to go back to that slightly wider design because it was a statement of a little bit of more luxury of space.
The overall proportions of the capitals, for instance, like the U, which is very wide. Also an interesting image. Yeah, so that's Edward Johnston himself. So just looking at this picture shows you a calligrapher, and you can see all of his explanations on the typeface. In a way, he was not really pure type designer, so this is probably what brings some of its very specific flavor.
When we look at the typeface itself, it does have a bit of quirkiness in it. One of the little things in Johnston would be the diamond shape, obviously, on the eye. This is a little bit of a provocation, because usually the dot of the eye is either a circle or a square. It's never a rhombus.
Actually, the original typeface had a square periods and a semicolon. With time, they became also diamond shape, and that's something that we decided to retain, because it's now become signature of the typeface.
In the conversation with TfL, it was very important for them that we add these thin weights, the extra thin weights, because of the trend these days, especially like if you pick up your iPhone and everything is very light. But while we were drawing, we went to the extreme thin, which is a hairline. It was a way to experiment, to push the boundary. The client had not asked for it, and we said like, you didn't ask us for this, but we think this is good. Like, what do you think? And then we immediately got the response like, I love it.
felt that Monotype were true partners in this process, and there's, I think, a true coming together of minds. We all talked about it with a lot of passion. It was actually seen as this is something which is really, really important to all of us. The introduction of the new font will take place later on in 2016 as we bring new stations on board, such as for the Elizabeth line. You'll see it on the signage. So really it's towards the end of this year that you'll start to notice.
Hopefully I will be proud. In a way I'm quite anxious. Seeing how it performs in real life is it's what makes it good typeface.
I would hope that they see this as an evolution of the design and a new chapter in the story and the history of this unique typeface. For us at Monotype, I mean, this is a huge honor, of course, to be able to be part of that journey.